When a confrontation between governments or nations is announced, many people feel afraid. But in contrast, these wars and conflicts have served as inspiration for video games, some of which have attracted hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of players worldwide. Millions of gamers have demanded that many war-themed video games be developed year after year to fulfill their need. A typical statement made by gamers is that they have only played a single war game a few times, and so Call of Duty is one of the most well-known video games ever produced, and it is divided into various subgenres.
Sergeant, fire a flare from the launcher on the roof.
Fire in the hole!
Each of which has unique maps and gameplay experiences. According to statistics, Warzone is one of those games, and it's seen tremendous popularity since its introduction 2 years ago. Chances are high that you've played the game or know someone that's played it at least once. However, have you ever taken the time to reflect on the game since it was first released? Do you know what led to the creation of Warzone? In this video, we'll jump into the game and learn all about it. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. The announcement by Call of Duty in 2020 that it would be revamping its map once more to create a new experience, the Call of Duty Warzone, was met with jubilation by every action-loving gamer. The announcement heralded the beginning of high-stakes esports competitions for all video game enthusiasts. Immediately following the introduction of this masterpiece, the game was officially released on March 10, 2020. It has been developed for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows platforms, which are the world's most widely used gaming systems. Because of their popularity, this new game covered a large part of the gamers' community instantly. But in order to understand the original plan for this famous video game, we need to take a look at the game's history. About 2 decades ago, the first Call of Duty video game was launched. The first version of the game, developed by Infinity Ward, was published in 2003. With this game, the developer offered a novel concept in which the player commanded a single-player shooter. Players were needed to participate in several World War II missions during the game. The game was a departure from other shooter games available at the time of its release. Unlike earlier games, it had an in-game character that worked together with others to complete objectives. 3 parts were included in the game, all of which had been held back until the conclusion of the primary campaign. You would only take on the character of an American, British, or Soviet soldier as you seek to eliminate the Axis forces in these distinct positions. And well, the game did receive a great deal of positive feedback. A year and a half later, after the first release of Call of Duty, the second installment of the series was published, Call of Duty 2, with Activision being the publisher. World War II served as the backdrop for the game, which kept the atmosphere consistent with the original. Other partner forces participated in several extra missions in the second release. Players were now able to experience some of the game's most distinguishing aspects instead of the prior edition. A hallmark of this kind was the capacity to recover physical health. Another significant change was the addition of the grenade icon, which notified players of the presence of nearby explosives that were ready to detonate. These have since been passed down through generations. In addition, multiplayer features were incorporated with this edition, allowing as many players to participate in the same mission simultaneously. Later in 2006, Call of Duty 3 was released as the third installment. Just a year later, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released, and with it, a large number of new features. Its setting in a contemporary context was one of the game's most distinguishing characteristics compared to the other versions. This proved to be a watershed moment in the series' development. In fact, it's the reason why the Modern Warfare subseries was established, and in 2016, a remastered edition of this exact game was released as a result of the popularity of the original. The company made several more games, all of which were financially successful and sold millions of copies worldwide. But the Call of Duty Warzone, which is the subject of today's video, was first made available in 2020. Warzone, a game first envisioned by Patrick Kelly, was a game changer for the industry. He had a vivid memory of the pitch meeting. Infinity Ward's offices in Woodland Hills, California were jam-packed with developers and Activision executives when the company opened its doors in January 2018. At Infinity Ward, Kelly and his longtime colleague Dave Stoll, who served as co-studio heads, were poised to submit their major proposition. The project was codenamed Magma, and the objective was to create the world's largest battle royale, which would be set in the world of Activision's forthcoming Call of Duty Modern Warfare game in early 2019. After it was done, the project was named Warzone. The sales campaign did not stop there. It was a risky move, as it was rather substantial in size, perhaps a tad excessive in size, and even at some time, Patrick Kelly found himself being asked, "Do you think this is a bit of a mouthful for you?" The Call of Duty brand was already working on a battle royale mode for Treyarch's 2018 game Call of Duty Black Ops 4 known as Blackout, and Kelly and Stoll, on the other hand, would like a version that is more keeping with the appearance, feel, and realism of their Modern Warfare remake than the current one. It wasn't about stepping on Treyarch's toes, says Kelly, but the amount of work required to realize the concept she provided fully. In 2017, the project started with the creation of the now famous map of the hypothetical city of Verdansk, which took place long before Kelly and Stoll met for their pitch meeting. It was the height of the popularity of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, often referred to as PUBG.
Wow, that was epic.
But when Kelly was having a good time with his son, the Battle Royale, he was so captivated by it, he decided to recreate it in the Call of Duty way. As a result, he began having internal discussions about what a vast place would look like if they constructed it from scratch. He decided immediately he wanted to work on something significant. The development team began by studying real-world cities to use as an inspiration for the game's settings. Both of them were inspired by the city Donetsk in Ukraine and other comparable places. Initially, the developers meant to build Kabul.
I'm imagining just parachuting down there.
Still, the city's importance in record world events was less of a draw in Kabul than its benefit in terms of game production logistics. The idea was to create unique buildings and other vital things that seem unique rather than having them look the same as they did on prior large multiplayer maps. Players would access and ascend buildings in a dense urban area, which was the starting point for the team's work. Kelly remarked on the fact that the cityscape had shifted. In its original form, the map's initial proportions were far bigger than the current footprint of Verdansk. It's amusing because things were getting out of hand, Kelly said. They were on the verge of creating a city that sprawled for miles and miles in every direction, and part of the reasoning was that they were aware of their physical limitations, such as how many players can you sustain on a global scale. PUBG, Fortnite, and Blackout provided inevitable reference points for constructing a battle royale game throughout the development of Warzone. Players were also presented with a big problem as they attempted to define the boundaries of the genre. According to Stoll, Infinity Ward's workers, like other game development teams, are also gamers, with many of them being fans of current Battle Royale titles. Some developers were afraid to iterate too much on the Battle Royale idea since they enjoyed the other games they were doing. But Kelly's love for PUBG and his time spent gaming with his son inspired a significant portion of the gameplay of Warzone. Stoll was concerned about the game's reliability on launch day, March 10, 2020, when the player count surged from a few hundred testers to tens of thousands of active players overnight. Despite his worries, the game received a great reception when it was first made available. Following Statista, the player base rose swiftly, hitting 15 million 3 days after the game's launch and reaching 75 million by the end of August 2020. Stoll mused on how much he enjoyed seeing players bring the worlds they created to live in their way. Gaming is presently the most popular and fastest growing kind of entertainment, with 3 billion people worldwide actively participating in games today, spurred by a new generation well versed in the pleasures of interactive entertainment. Announcing intentions to acquire Activision Blizzard Incorporated, a prominent game developer and producer of interactive entertainment material from Microsoft Corporation, announced plans to purchase the company. This acquisition has expedited Microsoft's gaming business expansion across mobile, PC, console, and cloud platforms and supplied metaverse building components for the company's metaverse. In addition to the planned acquisition of Major League Gaming's international esports operation, the proposed acquisition included renowned properties from Activision, Blizzard, and King Studios, including Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Candy Crush, among other titles. According to Bobby Kotick, CEO of Activision Blizzard, their extraordinarily talented teams have been developing some of the most successful games for over 30 years, including World of Warcraft. And now this acquisition will allow them to retain their success in an increasingly competitive industry by combining the talents of Activision Blizzard's world-class team with Microsoft's technology, distribution, talent access, ambitious vision, and shared commitment to gaming and inclusion. This acquisition includes the studios of Activision, Blizzard, and King, and the esports operations of Major League Gaming across the world.
Dave, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this.
Well-known properties like Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Candy Crush are also included in this transaction. According to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, for more than 3 decades, the company's been responsible for some of the most popular video games on the market.
Smoke them down.
Clear. Force up.
But now, due to their shared commitment to inclusive gaming, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft are well positioned to maintain their success in an increasingly competitive industry thanks to their complementary strengths. Have you ever played the game? Well, let us know what you think about it in the comments section below. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications for more inspiring videos. Cheers!